push it up a lot.
Right. It's pretty low.
Better?
Yeah, that's a bit better at least. Hello? Can you guys hear me? Can you help me increase the speaker behind you just a tiny, teeny bit? Tiny, reduce it a little bit more. Reduce it, no, reduce. I think that works, but it's pretty quiet. All right. Yeah, we're getting that reverb, that good old reverb. Can someone reduce the speaker at the back just a tiny bit? And Ben, can you please reduce that speaker, the one right next to you, the speaker behind you? Yeah, that small speaker. Can you reduce the volume a little bit? Isn't it? Did you turn it? Was it on before? Is that any better? I think so. Well, we might play with this a few times today to get it right. Yeah, I did reduce it a bit. Oh, it's behind there. Behind there. It just needs to be reduced a tiny bit. Oh, you stay there so someone else can play with it while you do your thing.
These as well.
It's just one of them.
Yeah.
All right. Can everyone hear me? It sounds. Definitely, if you don't mind increasing the volume a little bit, tiny bit, so people can actually hear, and that would be nice. Yep, I think that works. Yeah, that should do. So what happens sometimes is that if it's not connected properly, it just does interface. Guys, on behalf of my team and I, we want to apologize for keeping you waiting for a bit there. But if you've been wondering what does cybersecurity look like, well, there you have it. This is what it looks like. It's crazy. It's unplanned. It's unstructured. Someone actually, one of my old boss called it, it's organized chaos, right? And that's really what cybersecurity is. Really want to thank you everyone for coming today. Can we give it up for Daphne? She set all of this up today herself. So give it up for the Cyber DJ. If you're not aware, it is very daunting to set all of this good stuff up. While I was putting together some last-minute slides, so as usual, if you've done any presentations before. If you're wondering who I am, my name is Sammy Chucks, and I'm the founder and CEO of CyberLynk. also the founder of Hack for Good. We are a cybersecurity training organization. And if you're wondering where you've come to BlueCon 0x10, which is the number 16 in hexadecimal. And also, I think, Ben, you and I are still working this out. We might be getting a name change very soon. But look, today as well, I'm very excited to obviously talk to everyone about what we're launching, what is coming up over the next couple of weeks. But without going into too much preachy, because we've lost a lot of time already, I'm super excited for the person who's speaking today. But before we sort of go there, and I want to obviously take a moment to acknowledge those who actually make it possible for us all to gather here. So look, I think one of those people is Stone and Chalks, obviously, who are the inhabitants of this current building, and they allow us to come here every single month to have fun, eat some good pizza and some cans of drink. I also want to shout out to SciDam. So guys, can we please actually clap for these sponsors? So I want to shout out to SciDam for tirelessly and continuously sponsoring BlueCon. Again, name change. My brain just keeps wanting to go into the name. Guys, there's a few secrets you guys are keen. I'm keen to share with you all today. There's definitely a lot of really, really awesome things that are coming up. But without any further ado, I want to give it up to Ben Waters, the co-founder of SciDam, to, I guess, my partner in crime, to sort of give us a quick intro about who SciDam is.
I won't say a lot. Just thanks for coming. We're SciDam Technologies. We're an Australian tech company. We build security software for security operations centers. So welcome. Thank you for coming.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Thanks so much, Ben. In case you're wondering what else Ben does, Ben is a dad, is a great man, awesome dude, and often that's what you would find with cybersecurity people, is that they're actually real humans who are dealing with a lot of life shenanigans, but still doing some great work. I call them superheroes, and the one of those superheroes is the one and only Nikesh. I don't actually know the best way to describe him, but Nikesh is one of those guys that if you're thinking of someone who's been through multiple domains of cybersecurity, then Nikesh is your guy. He's gone through defensive, offensive, and pepper teaming, AppSec, Pentesting, and he's got some pretty, pretty serious, accolades under his belt. And because of that, I think that gives him the authority to talk about the topic he's going to be talking about today. So if you're not aware who Nikesh is a cybersecurity engineer at InfoTrack. Security engineer, and basically his day-to-day job is, like, as he put it the first time he and I caught up, is making sure that pen testers don't send rubbish reports. So if you're a pen tester here, this is definitely not a dig at you, but I think like what Nikesh will probably talk about today is that when we all work together, it's often better. So yeah, look, one group of people I forgot to introduce because my adrenaline is off the charts today. Guys, if I don't make any good dad jokes, still laugh. It's a good idea to still laugh, so I don't go home and cry in the basement. But we want to welcome those who are obviously watching with us online as well. So, again, the community is quite huge. We've got people who are watching from, regional Australia, those who are not able to come here in person. And of special mention are those who are obviously watching from Africa. So currently we live stream BlueCon to Ghana and to Nigeria. And this is part of the, the work that we are currently doing to disrupt cybercrime in these regions. Obviously, quick disclaimer, Africa is not the only place where there are cyber criminals. They're everywhere. But it just so that, I guess the uniqueness of this particular place is that often young people feel like that's the only opportunity that they have to be able to get ahead. And what we're saying is that, no, you don't have to hack for evil. You can hack for good. There is a bit of Easter egg in that saying with regards to what we're going to be showing you guys today. Look, without any further ado, can we all give it up for Nikesh, who's going to be taking us through AppSec, Pentesting Disconnect, why context matters more than findings. Give it up, everyone. Wasn't intentional.
Hello, can you hear me now? Yep, thanks, Sammy, for a lovely introduction, and it's so good to see you all. I do go to a lot of meetups that happen around Melbourne, And yeah, this is my first time at BlueCon, thanks to Sammy.
It's a first timer.
Yeah, I'll just present.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Let's make some really nice.
Um, Yeah, I am not as much as what Sammy just praised me all about. I'm just a learner, and I try to learn new tech stuff, and I don't live in the basement. And yeah, I keep learning stuff, hacking stuff. I'm more passionate. I know it's BlueCon, but I'm more passionate about red teaming side of things, more offensive side of things. But today we're talking about AppSec, pen testing disconnect. The thing is, when I first spoke to Sammy about what should we present about, and I was like, let's talk about reports and how there's a disconnect. And every time I see a report, there's the same finding, missing headers and missing HSTS, and the SSL is not configured. The same things over and over again. So I just wanted to talk about my experience over. I started in 2015, so over a decade, around how I matured and how I understood how context builds up, with some examples that I learned on the way. So that's pretty much I'm going to summarize in the talk today. And if you have any questions, yeah, we can talk about it in the end. Quick one, disclaimer. Yeah, this is just for educational purpose. This does not represent my organization or any clients or anything that I work for. Any tools that I talk about is not something that I endorse. It's just for examples. And yeah, before doing anything, just take some professional guidance. It's not something that I am recommending it today. Pretty much summarized there. Yeah, let's talk about something that I just introduced in my introduction, that the problem with findings, right? Everyone's running scans these days, right? Like there's SAST, there's DAST, and dependency checks. We just had an NPM attack recently, and whatnot. Now, the amount of findings that these tools produce is massive. Like, suppose if you just run a semgrep on, say, a small repository, it'll still produce like hundreds of findings for that particular repository. So the thing is, like, these findings, suppose like I run an SS scan, an authenticated scan on a particular server. It'll tell me that, hey, there is this critical vulnerability for buffer overflow on this particular host, which is affecting so-and-so package, on this particular host. Now, it may sound critical to the tool because the tool does not understand. It's just scanning based on a plugin. It does not understand the context, right? So when you look closer, it's actually affecting the local host. And that particular host is sitting like, you access that host probably by connecting to the VPN or the intranet, or accessing it via a particular jump box. And it may not be as critical as it sounds in that scan report. So that's where context comes into the picture. I still remember my first engagement as I started in offensive security. It's not as cool as it sounds, but it was a configuration review for an Ubuntu machine that I did. And like every other person, I just downloaded. I went to CIS controls. I downloaded the benchmarks. I checked, line by line. I ran the commands and I checked everything, whatever was missing. And I produced this nice fancy report, which had like 50 findings, criticals, highs, missing these packages are vulnerable and whatnot. Now, this review, the report went to my manager for review. And he did not demotivate me. He motivated me and said like, hey, this is a nice report. You worked hard. It's good. But look, you access these things via the credentials they provided. And this particular package might not affect from an external point of view. It does not contextualize. Like the CIS benchmark may tell you like, hey, yeah, this is critical. It's good, but it may not be critical as it sounds on report. So that's where context comes into picture. And suppose if we send these reports to, say, the team that fixes it. Now, we cannot create 50 Jira cards or whatever cards to fix these issues. And our team will be like, hey, you are bugging my board. The Scrum Master is probably going to get bugged and say, like, I'm not fixing these many issues. So it leads to a lot of waste of time and efforts. And, the prioritization may actually miss some critical risk. The team may focus on something that's not relevant or might not be as important as something else. Yeah. So when context is missing, so just to make it a little more interactive, we look into a conversation. So usually, not sure how many of you are pen testers, but when we close a pen test, we usually have a stakeholder call, okay? And we kind of walk through them of what we have seen in the report and what are our findings, basically. And we explain it to them around, like, what have you observed, and if they have any technical questions or problems reproducing that particular issue. So let's look at one such conversation about a report, a critical finding that that the tester is trying to explain. So there's a stakeholder and there's a pen tester. If you can't see, he's a pen tester. That's the stakeholder. Hey, we received your report and you mentioned RC in a Jenkins server as critical. Yes, Pentest is like, yeah, I was able to run some arbitrary commands in Jenkins script console. For those of you not aware, Jenkins has a nice script console for an admin user, where you can run commands and basically build. Jenkins is a build and deploy tool. Let's move further. Interesting. Can you clarify how you access the console? Sure. I logged in using the admin credentials that you gave me. Okay. You see where we're going now with this, right? Now, Jenkins allows RC by design. This is expected for admin users. This is an expected behavior. Yeah, but RC is RC, right? Like, you can run any commands. Yeah, but it's saying like, a Linux root user can run rm-rf. Like, it's a feature by design that requires context. So the tester realizing like the issue isn't RC, but it is whether unauthorized users can access it, right? Yeah, exactly. Like RC is supposed to be, it has to check whether unauthorized users can access it, not whether an admin user can access it, right? Yeah, good point. And the tester also realizing like, hey, yeah, even the Jenkins was protected in an internal network. It's not exposed to the external internet. So happy realization, and this is where context comes into play. So the problem isn't about how many critical vulnerabilities you report. It's about how you make them more impactful and business-driven to the stakeholders that's more interested to look at a report and drive remediation, right? We have to drive remediation. That's the end goal, basically. Now, why context is king? Now, it's the age of AI. There are so many tools. I just explored the nice burp AI feature in the repeater section. It's a very nice feature for those who haven't explored it yet. And yeah, tools are great. Automated findings are good. It could be a good starting point. However, it will give you only findings, but it will not tell you like which 5 actually matter. It'll just give you a list of findings. Even if you do a normal burp scan, it'll tell you a hell lot of things, but probably those things don't really matter if you put them in the report. Now, let's take an example. And suppose if we say like an IDOR in a banking site or an IDOR in a marketing site. Now, in a banking site, you may able to access, say, some payment-related information or some customer accounts or a lot of critical information, right? It's a bank account. And if we consider the same thing in a marketing microsite, we probably get some newsletter subscription or something like that. It may not have as critical data in comparison to a banking account or a banking app. So that's where same vulnerability may not imply it's the same risk in all the apps, right? So that's where context comes into picture. Now the tool over here will report it as critical anyways, or high. Even ChatGPT, I know even I use ChatGPT for writing reports. And if you tell them to calculate a CVSS, it's probably going to tell you it's a critical issue. It won't understand that whether it's a marketing side or it's a banking side or whatnot. Now, what does context tells us basically? What is this context, right? So the first thing that we look is what is the asset value? What are we protecting basically? The job of a pen tester is to protect the app from getting it exploited in the end, right? So what are we protecting? What kind of data is there in that particular app? Exploitability. Who are the users? Whether it's an internal user, whether it's an admin user, whether it's an end user whoever. Like suppose if you're using a banking application on the mobile. So who are the users? What's the exploitability factor in that sense? Environment. Yeah, exactly. Is it internal behind WAF? whether it's accessible via VPN. Take the Jenkins server, for example. It was accessible only via, say, a Bastion host, for example. Impact, yeah, what's the potential business impact? The marketing microsite, not much. For a banking, yes, it's critical. So yeah, ask these questions and we understand what context exactly tells us. Yeah, enough of the rant. We're just ranting about what is this, what is that. Now, what good looks like? Let's talk about what good looks like, because again, it's about building resilient systems. It's about building security and driving remediation in the end. Now, when it comes to findings, suppose if your finding cannot tell you what went wrong, why it matters, or how it can be exploited in the real world, it's probably not going to be prioritized for a remediation, for example. So let's take an example. So if I say like JWT tokens, I should just say JWT because it's token anyways, dot encrypted, and attacker can read claims, emails, you. Now, for example, that finding does not tell me a lot. What is the impact here? How can an attacker exploit it in the wild? Or what is the business impact from this particular finding? So instead, what we need to capture in a report is, how can a developer be able to reproduce this, when he's trying to reproduce this particular finding at his end? So we produce a step-by-step exploitation that is proof of concept. We provide them with steps, and we provide them with also an impact. Now, the impact statement should always be in terms of not a copy paste from somewhere. It has to be in particular context of that particular app. For example, if the JWT token has, say, sensitive data regarding the banking customer, then mention about that. Just don't say that it contains sensitive data. Mention that it contains the sensitive banking customer data. So that's where the red flags arise and the criticality of the finding is justified. Yep. Remediation. We talk about impact. Now let's talk about remediation. The same example. I've seen reports, or even I have reported for that, man. Let's not blame others. I have also reported like, hey, just implement JWE. That is the encrypted chart, right? So, but the developer, he'll go like, hey, what I need to do exactly, with this particular recommendation, it's not clear. And then you go and say like, the developer goes and finds stuff and he fixes it. It comes to you for a retest and you say like, hey, this fix is not valid, and the developer has wasted time to actually fix that issue, which does not make sense. So instead, what could be better done is find how the tokens are issued, like as a tester. Spend some time, check if there is an IDP like Auth0. Again, not brand promoting. Check those references, add those references in your report. Reference standards such as OWASP. Give them a direction, just don't put them in a dark cave, right? So they get a direction, and whatever is valid in their particular code base, they actually go forward and fix it accordingly. So yeah, bridging the gap and reports that drive remediation. Yeah, this is one of my favorite things beyond copy paste. I've seen reports where the exact burp does a passive scan, and the exact remediation and issue description is copied into the report, and it's not worth the stakeholders' time and everyone's time, basically. Just if you're doing that, spend some more time, and it's not just a checklist. Checklists are good. I'm not saying they're bad, but it's your entire report or entire pen test should not be just reliant on a checklist. Spend some more effort, right? Missing HSTS, outdated server banners. Yeah, those findings were very low priority. Yeah, protect what matters most. Think like a hacker. And yeah, if I would like to place an Amazon order without actually paying for it, right, as a malicious user. So that is something where you wear your attacker hat and add value. Classic, yeah. Script, alert one script, right? This is something which everyone has seen and everyone has tried. Now, whenever I do this and I pop an alert one, and I'm like, yeah, I popped an alert, yeah, I've got XSS, I've got a high issue for the day. And yeah, it proves a vulnerability, but that's not it, right? Like, as a stakeholder, for example, if you're going in this particular call, and I suppose if you are the stakeholder, you don't understand technical terms, and you see this alert popping. What does it do? Like, what am I supposed to get out of this? Yep. Now, in the same case, what if now you go to a say a marketing site, and you say like, hey, I popped an alert. Now that alert does not mean anything, but say you added an admin user in that marketing site, in the WordPress site. Now that's something, right? Like you can control a lot of things in that particular thing. So yeah, can you just check, go ahead and check whether you can steal a token, whether you can check any, exfiltrate any sensitive information from that particular XSS. So add more value, right? Same example, marketing microsite and banking portal. Yeah, that is a few more checks I would do. Yep, sorry for the formatting. Yeah, mobile app pen testing. I've spent, this is one of the most challenging, I'm sure most of people who've tested mobile apps will agree. Explaining mobile app or Android or iOS app findings to stakeholders is a big pain in the back to explain to stakeholders. Suppose if you say like, hey, I cannot, I remember a finding where it said, user can copy paste, okay? And the stakeholder was like, I want the customer to copy paste. What is the risk in that? So mobile app findings are a big challenge to explain it to stakeholders. Three most common examples I've listed out, just sharing it out of experience. And for those who are not aware, the three type of findings are app can run on root devices. One is SSL pinning bypass, and the last one is code obfuscation. Okay. Now the thing is, the tester doesn't realize like there are two kind of builds. Let me narrow it down. When we test usually for Android apps, let's take Android apps for example. The build is made in such a way that it can be installed on a rooted device so that you can intercept the traffic. The SSL pinning is deliberately disabled so that you can intercept it via burp and look at the request. And same with code obfuscation, the stakeholder actually wants you to look at those things. So these findings here actually do not make sense. Like you report it as a high or a critical finding. You should rather check it in a production build or directly download it from the app store and check those findings whether they are valid in those particular sense. In a particular debug build, like the stakeholder would be pissed, like, hey, what is this? I disabled it for you so that you should be able to test it. So these are the three most common findings. I try to list it out over here, but there are multiple findings as such specifically in mobile app pen testing. Yeah, it's not just the pen tester's responsibility. It's even the stakeholder's responsibility, right? For example, I worked with one particular client, not naming. Their expectations were very nice and very clear. Like, suppose if it's a 5-day engagement, they just wanted us to focus on a particular functionality. It's like, you break or make this. I don't care about HSTS or SSL or anything of that sort. So that is a very clear side of communication and in terms of expectations set right from the beginning. So it's a two-way street, as I say, and also providing detailed information about the application or network or any architecture diagrams that are available within your environment, so that it depends again what kind of test you're performing. If it's a black box, then probably it does not make any sense. But yeah, as much as information as possible, so the tester gets more insight and understands it better. Yeah, so as the pen tester's responsibilities is, any specific testing methodologies or goals. If the stakeholder is not providing, you should probably ask it upfront and see if there is any information worth it. Yep, DevSecOps, shifting left at SDLC. Now, I look at DevSecOps in a way which is good, but again, a lot of noise in the SDLC. The amount of tools that we run I have just drawn a comparison between a traditional DevOps and a DevSecOps pipeline. So this is the DevOps one, and this is the DevSecOps, where you run a particular security tool at every stage in your pipeline, right? Now, we run these tools, these particular SaaS findings, and these are huge, enormous. So it becomes very difficult to triage or remediate these kind of issues, especially in a big organization. And how do we tackle this is by adding guardrails, or by we do not push the code, we put PR checks. So anyone who's pushed code to GitHub knows what a pull request is, right? So what we do is, if a particular once the code is pushed into a feature branch, the scans are run. And suppose if that dependency or the dependency scanner provides, say, it's a critical issue and so package, the PR fails, right? Even before it goes to the code owner, it fails and the code does not go into production or moves to the next stage in the pipeline. So the developer has to fix it, and then you move on to the next stage in your pipeline. That's how you build guide rails in SDLC, and it's called shifting left, like starting right from the first stage that's design. And threat modeling comes into that place where you start in the design phase, you provide the threats to the app, to the team, and they start integrating those threats into their code. Now, again, these tools are going to produce a large number of, so many false positives and so many tools. Now, what they won't understand is, again, that particular context that we're talking about from such a long time, or whatever I'm ranting about for the last 20 minutes. Yeah. So why tools alone are not enough, they'll miss findings such as business logic flaws, like that payment bypass, which I wanted to purchase on Amazon, and parameter tampering or authorization flaws. So this is something that the scanner does not understand. So that's where a human or a pen tester comes into picture. Many a times, I've faced this question by stakeholders or my managers. Hey, we're spending so much of money on tools. Why do we need to do these pen tests? So that's when we prove them the value. Like, this is where a tool won't do the job. This is where the actual threats lie. How do we integrate? This is something I wanted to, this is my experience, how we integrate basically, or how we build guardrails, how we build a resilient system basically, how we integrate AppSec and Pentest in a particular workflow, yeah? So it all starts with a developer, say, building a profile picture upload. The developer goes and writes its code, and or probably a design, you can say, and the AppSec engineers jump in, the threat model, and they say like, hey, probably a threat actor can upload a malicious picture, right? Now, the developer takes that in thing, and they do and say, let's validate the file type, okay? Let's validate the content type or the file extension, say, we'll put only dot, say, PDF allowed. Now, next step, the code is pushed into production or stage or whatever the flow is. And the pen tester comes into the picture. He uses his own techniques, double extensions and whatnot. And he bypasses that PDF extensions and he uploads it. Now, the thing is, we do not fix this particular thing just for this particular thing. We upload and we build standards so that we fix all file upload things. How do we do that? We build checklists in that particular PR, the pull request that we are talking about, right? We build those checklists and we see whether those standards are met. And the code owner ensures that code owner is someone who approves the pull request. So he ensures that those standards are met, okay? And then we push it into the main branch or the master branch, and then it goes into production. That's how resilient systems are built in an ideal world, I would say. And yes, this is a continuous cycle. It's not a one-time activity, right? Pen testers are meant to find loopholes or find techniques where you can tweak certain things or certain implementations and bypass those guardrails and continue to upload a malicious file. That's why we perform periodic pen tests every year, right? Yep, there are defenders, there's testers, and how do we align together, right? Now, the goal is not zero findings, right? That's never going to be possible. Like, it's not going to be possible. There'll never be zero findings. There'll always be findings. Like, threats evolve. There'll be new finding. There will be a new 0 day every single day, right? So what is it about? It's building about guardrails. It's building about a resilient system that you implement controls and you defend them, right? Now, in defenders, like say the AppSec, product security engineers, they know the architecture. They know what controls are there. They know what, for example, in the file upload picture, for example, there's a ClamAV. ClamAV is an open source malware scanner or antivirus scanner for Linux systems. Say I upload that. So probably the AppSec engineer knows that there's a malware scanner. There's a control in place. Now, if the pen tester can bypass the ClamAV checks, then that is something right. So we need to upgrade something from ClamAV to something else. Probably that can check something better. So that's how defenders and testers work together and build a resilient system. So that's how they align. There's one more example that I think of is rate limiting, right? A few years ago, like a lot of apps basically used to have IP-based rate limiting. So if there are too many requests coming from a particular IP, they used to block it. But now with cloud and so many extensions and so many tools available, you can actually rotate. There's a nice burp extension called Rotate IP. If you guys haven't used it, it's a nice tool where you can just sign up, add your keys, and the tool will actually rotate the IPs for you, and you can bypass that rate limiting feature. So that's where you align the testers and the defenders align together, saying like, hey, this control is probably not working. We need to build better controls. IP-based rate limiting is not the way to go. So that's how you build a resilient system in an ideal world, I would say. Yeah, the last slide. I won't bore you more. Key takeaways is, findings without context lead to poor prioritization and waste of time and effort, which may actually leave a lot of actual risk basically just behind the bar. And a good report, I would say, should tell a story, not just a checklist. I know time is a big constraint, but it should tell what business impact it has, good remediation steps, help them remediate the issue. Just don't tell them what the problem is. Help them guide through the journey, basically. Yep, that's pretty much that I wanted to talk about and throw a lot of information at everyone. I see a lot of yawning faces, but yeah, any questions or anything before we move ahead?
Okay, guys, can we please give it up for that? Well, show of hands, who had that go over the head? All of it. Okay. When he started speaking, and then I realized, oh. Okay, so, but it's a good thing. It means that you're obviously getting exposed to some concept that may not necessarily be in the scope of where you're currently at on your learning journey. But the good news is we've got Nikesh, the man, right here in front of me or by my side, who is happy to explain any of the concept that you may have heard, and you're probably going, wait, what are you talking about? Bro, it sounds like you're speaking Mandarin. So if anyone has any questions regarding any of the things that you just talked about, even if it sounds like a stupid question, stupid questions are the best type of questions. And those who know me, because once you ask it, that is where the stupidity of that question ends, because once you know what the answer is, it's no longer a stupid question. You are now educated. So regardless of what you think the question is, feel free to ask it. So please, show of hands, who wants to ask a stupid question? That is a great question. Hey, the DJ wants to ask a question.
So when you said here at the end in the report, don't tell them the problem, why?
Like I said,
Sorry for those online. Sorry, obviously in the full fashion of BlueCon, right? We got to keep those online, in our hearts. So if Daphne's question is essentially, when you said do not just tell them about the report, what does that actually mean? What are you referring to there?
Yeah, what I mean is, like we said, it's about driving remediation, right? It's not about only telling them like, hey, this is the problem. So we need to tell them, or we need to explain as a subject matter expertise or as a pen tester, probably tell them how it affects their business and probably give a better remediation. Like even the developer would be like, hey, I don't have to go and find first what the fix is. I know what the fix is and this will make my life easier and I'll go ahead and fix it. So that's what I meant. It's not only about just writing, copy pasting from somewhere and just telling them the generic problem.
Like making it make sense.
Yeah. Especially in their context. Yeah. Yeah.
That was awesome. Yep, here you go.
In one of the lines that you stated that the hackers would have trouble finding the access control.
Yeah. the attackers. It's about the tools that are missing those findings. Yeah. So, for example, if you do a dynamic scan or a task scan, they're probably not going to check whether you configure a particular session and then you let it scan, right? So it's probably not going to compare whether an admin user has functionality and whether a lower user has that access to that particular functionality. So it's about the tools. It's not about the attackers. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of extensions and automation that exists. Yeah, but then you have to fine tune your tools and yeah, build that maturity down the line.
Cool. That was awesome. You go.
I mean, there are a lot of extensions and automation that exists. Yeah, but then you have to fine tune your tools and yeah, build that maturity down the line.
Cool. That was awesome. You go.
That I think I've learned from my mistake. I did not follow a thing. I'm not saying that you guys should do a mistake, but yeah, just try to understand or just ask questions. Basically, if you're not understanding, talk to a senior or someone whose reports you've looked at and see how that goes. I don't have a perfect answer. Like if there is a standard definition, that's what I'm saying. That don't follow standard definitions. Understand what the context is in that particular thing, right? So that's what I would advise. Yep.
Don't have any other questions? Yeah, you go.
Uh, start with a regular vulnerability. Like understand first what the vulnerabilities are or what you need to find in a particular thing, and as you mature, right, you'll realize that when you start writing reports, you understand. Whether it's a whether it's a marketing site or whether it's a banking site, right? Just think as an attacker, what would be more beneficial for you to attack. So think from that perspective, and also in terms of stakeholders, like what would they be interested to listen to? They only, I'm not saying, I don't want to sound offensive, but stakeholders only care about how much damage it does to business. They don't care about a particular finding. They want to go to production any day. They will say like, hey, let the pen test finding set, we'll take an exception. We are going to production. I cannot affect my business to go down. So explain a story to them and make them understand why is it important to basically fix this particular issue. So if you write it well in your report or in your executive summary, you won't face the pen tester who faced the Jenkins issue. You won't face that while you're doing the closure call. So yeah, I would suggest that.
That's good. It's awesome. Any other questions? Well,
Yeah,
Yep.
go ahead. The thing that stay valid even I don't know, for 10 years I've seen it's valid. One finding that I see is IDORs. They are valid even today, and I think they'll still be valid because of poor coding practices. It's not about a particular package or a particular thing. And even if you're working in ProdSec and probably doing code reviews, you find a lot of IDORs in terms of access controls. So that is something that I see a lot. Yeah, even today. And still relevant from the day I started, 10 years ago. So pretty much. Yep.
Write the, do you write the reports for the managers or people who are in the IT?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
That's a
So
good way you
yeah,
run a report
so
for.
yeah, depending on who your stakeholder is. For example, you need to write the technical side of things also, but you need to also stay divided in such a way, like when you explain the impact section of it, like particular finding, you say like how it affects in terms of business. You don't just say it affects. So, for example, I would say it affects confidentiality. Now, that's very technical, right? Like something a stakeholder say, like what confidentiality? Now, when you say confidential information such as leaking bank customer accounts, now the stakeholder goes, "Oh, I need to fix this." Like so. That's where you draw the line and explain it. In terms of remediation, since that particular section is targeted only for the devs, because the devs are going to fix that, so I would be super technical in the remediation part of things. But in the executive summary or the impact or the description of the particular issue, I would try to make it business sounded. Yeah. I hope that answers your question. Yep. IDOR, indirect object references.
So if you check the OWASP security application security top 10,
Yep.
IDOR is one of them. And it's such a stupid vulnerability, but it never goes away.
Yeah, it never goes away. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna. I actually genuinely thought you was gonna say vibe coding, like for real. Like I was having a chat with someone recently, and I said the person was like, "Oh, what are with AI and cybersecurity?" And I'm like, as long as people vibe code, there's always gonna be cybersecurity jobs, right?
Yeah, that's what like if you add in the context, like I said, like AI tools do not understand that. Even if you feed in that data into that AI, it will mature over time, of course. But something that edge that gives you, right? Like that human touch is something that a system will never understand. So, yep, never forget that. That's what the tools won't even do it for you. So,
Cool, that's awesome. Does anyone have any other one last question?
You just mentioned the term vibe coding. I don't know if everyone knows what that means.
yep.
Explain it.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So the term vibe coding actually came out of, it's part of the community of white Cubanita in the USA. They're one of the very big, I think the word biggest VC, so venture capitalists. Well, that's another term that I have to explain. So they're essentially, investors who invest in startups. So essentially, as AI was coming in, and people were basically wondering, what do we do with this stuff? It's like, when your dad buys you a new toy, and you're wondering, it's so big, what do I do with it? Like, there's so many ways I can play with it. How do I start? And just all of a sudden, like system software engineers and product managers, especially product managers, they started looking at AI and going, can we actually use this to solve real software problems? Right, and if anyone who codes here can tell you that knowing how to code doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to solve problem with code. Right, it's a completely different journey altogether. So usually when you start, coding, the first thing you do is you code in abstraction, and then eventually you start coding in object-oriented language, and then you move on to more complex levels of programming. So what we're trying to figure out is, since AI was really good at those early days of creating snippets of code. Like, write me a code that will print out hello world. It could do that because, surprise, surprise, most AI LLM engines were trained using Stack Overflow. So there was a lot of snippets of code that was available there. So what people started asking is, can this actually build a software? Like, I give it a requirement document and then say, hey, I want you to build me a code that will scream Sammy's awesome every single morning, and go bro, like literally. And then do that every single day, 7 days a week. Now, that's a problem statement. So essentially, people were writing some really clever prompts, and these prompts can actually solve problems. And this is essentially where the term vibe coding kind of started. Now, the thing, though, from a cybersecurity context is that the one thing that's been left out of the picture is what? Security. So they've made the real outcome the solution that they wanted to do. So, they want something that does something, but they're not thinking about what is the threat actor going to be able to do with this. All right. And if you can try to use AI to protect it as much as you can, but just like Nikesh said, humans are so good at context, some weird location, and stitch it together to something that AI would never see, do both connections, and then use that to bypass security measures. So this is essentially why vibe coding is a big concern. Obviously, again, this is some of my opinion because of my own personal research. So I'm quite happy for someone to, shout out in the audience and go, hey, Sammy, that's absolute bonkers, that's a lie. Does anyone think so? Yeah, I thought as much. No, I'm just kidding. Look, can we give it up for Nikesh? That was awesome, mate. Cheers. Thank you very much. Ben, can you please get me Nikesh's present in the office? Thanks, mate. All right, so those online, hopefully you're still enjoying the show, the very good show. Well, despite the technical difficulties we had today, I'm tempted to rap to remedy the problems. Oh, jeez. So, guys, I'm going to give everyone like 5 minutes to stretch their legs. I did not get to do the housekeeping type comments, so yeah, there you go. So, Nikesh. Yeah, that's heavy. That's a good one. On behalf of BlueCon, Hack for Good, and CyberLynk and CyDam, and everyone who's here, we want to say thank you for putting in the work to put this presentation together. Can we give it up for him again? I'm kind of wondering, is there any pen tester here who's wanting to pick up a pitchfork after that talk? Show of hands if you're an actual pen tester here who actually does that on the day-to-day job. Oh, yeah, I figured they'll all run away. All right, cool. So I guess the moral lesson of that is essentially context is everything, right? You want to make sure that when you're providing a report to an organization, you know who your audience is, and then you provide a report that is actually relevant to the audience and focus on that remediation, like you said. So that was pretty awesome. I learned a lot from that. All right, guys, I'll give you 5-10 minutes to go to the restroom. So if you get to the middle of the hallway here, and you walk all the way to the end, you will find the the restroom where you can do your business, and then you can come back and have a chat with a few people. We're going to start the workshop at 7:10, and it's going to be a quick one. So today I'm really good. It's probably more like another presentation because I want to talk about the basics of CTFs, why they matter, why you should do it, and how to get started. And we might even be able to put together a CTF right on the spot and then solve it together as a team. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you guys in 9 minutes. And we might even be able to put together a CTF right on the spot and then solve it together as a team. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you guys in 9 minutes. If you don't mind, if you're going to be part of the workshop, just please find your way back to your seat. We're going to try to rush it as quickly as possible. And I've got some secret announcements. Yep. That did not do it.
Hello everyone? No, it's not working. It's too low.
It's too low. Let's have fun. Quickly. All right. So basically, what I'm about to quickly in lightning speed show you guys. This could technically be a talk in and out of itself, but I wanted to quickly show. My charger. No, battery problem. So if I take it out, it dies. And just watch the camera. I think that does it. Yeah, I think that's good. It could just be like that's fine. That works. Those in front can obviously hear my voice quite quickly, better than those at the back. All right. Yeah, nah. It might just be because it's using a different. Can you reduce the gain on the microphone itself? No, not that. It might just be because it's using a different. Does that work? Yep. Well, we are just going to continue and then fix that audio issue later. It plagued us for the whole day, so we're just going to leave it alone. You got to learn when to fight and when to say, nah, not today. All right, cool. So before I quickly jump right into talking about the workshop, I'm actually quite excited to show you guys something. So as of yesterday, we haven't officially launched this in public yet, but as of yesterday, we've got our website live, so everyone can sort of go and take a look at what it is. You guys, every single one of you guys have been part of since we started, BlueCon all this while. So it's a proud moment for the team and I, working tirelessly behind the scene for those who are obviously here and those who are not, just making sure that they're able to. That we're able to put this together. So I'm quite keen to sort of show this to everyone. Is there a drum roll here? There's no soundboard for that. Would have been nice. There you go. I knew we had the big team. All right. Nah. I had one job. Stop trying to do other things. There you go. So, guys, as I type this with me. So, hck4g.org. When you're ready, hit enter. And welcome to our official website, guys. So finally, well, that is bloated to high heavens. I have no idea what's going on there. the scale. Well, for those who can see it properly, oh, there you go. That's a bit better. Yeah. So that should technically look like that. Yeah, big screen. So basically, if you're wondering what have you been about, what have you been part of all this while, all this month that we've been running the event, live streaming the event, this is what you've been part of. So Hack for Good CTF and Hack for Good Meetup and Hack for Good tour. Those are the three key initiatives that we have here. So we might be getting a name change from BlueCon to Hack for Good Meetup. That essentially just sort of tells our story a bit more. Now, we are a people teaming by heart, which is why we had someone talking about pen testing today. So we do both, attack and defense. And the whole aim is to really, literally what it says there is to disrupt the cybercrime syndicate by showing people that there's an alternative to cybercrime, that you can actually have fun doing this stuff for an actual real job. So for a lot of you guys who are wanting to get a job in cybersecurity, there is a career for you in this. You don't have to go into something malicious for it. And for a lot of the people that are in overseas that we're working with our non-for-profit organization, we are also telling them that as well. So as of today, we are officially accepting volunteers. So our CTF is going to be live on the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th of November. So to be part of that CTF, which is essentially kind of what we're talking about today, it's going to be a beginners to medium level CTF. To be part of it, you need to essentially form a team of a minimum of 3 people and a maximum of 5 people. So if you want to be part of it, you need to essentially band together. You can say hi to someone here, a total stranger. It's like, hey, bro, hi, how you going? Can we play Hack for Good CTF together? And they would say yes, and it'll be happily ever after from there. Happily flag after from there. So yeah, look, if you do have any questions with regards to this, obviously you can find a lot about this here. So I've talked about, the impact of cybercrime over the last, few months. And this is essentially what it is that the human cost of cybercrime, is quite dire. People are literally losing their lives as a result of this. Some of those being sextortion, business email compromise, romance scam, phishing, and a whole bunch of other cybercrime activities that you see out there. Mostly falling within the realms of social engineering. And often what we're trying to do is to point people to the middle, which is empowering people to do great things with their skills that they do have and to gain more skills to be able to do that. And often for a lot of people who fall into cybercrime, it's often due to economic circumstances. So if you're here contemplating, do I join a bad cyber gang because I cannot afford to go to school or do anything, please don't. And I come have a chat with myself and my team. There's obviously always an opportunity for us to help, and Saidam is here to support as well. So I'm throwing pen into the rug. But yeah, so this is essentially what we're doing. So you're going to hear more about it. The team have put together a really good. How good is the website, guys? Do you like it? It's pretty sick, right? Probably too old to say that. You can also find the Hack for Good tour page. So this talks about the tour itself. So the tour actually involves us going all the way to Africa to talk to young people who are involved in cybercrime, in at-risk hubs and whatnot. Anyways, please go through it. And if you want to volunteer, we're looking for volunteers around media, social media, on the day physical event, support. So we're going to be having an actual workshop. So we're still trying to figure out the venue for that. But that workshop is going to be a whole day of training, technical hands-on training. And we'll be releasing tickets for that. So I definitely invite you all to please show up. We're thinking of putting the early bird price to $100. And, if you dilly-dally and you're late, it might be $150. But we stick in $150. But we're still working with that number and still playing with it before we come up with the final stuff. So we should have the ticketing page up next week, hopefully, by the end of next week. So you guys can essentially start promoting it. Our LinkedIn page is obviously going to change to Hack for Good. So if you're already part of our LinkedIn, that is just going to get a name change, so you're not surprised. But if you're not already following us on LinkedIn, definitely go ahead and follow us. And we've also created a dedicated Discord page for Hack for Good. So there, guys, we've actually formed a community so that we can actually continue this conversation after we leave here. So to join, basically just find the Discord icon. I think it's at the very bottom. Yeah, somewhere here. Whatever. I think it's on the other page. I'm pretty sure of it. I ticked it off. Yeah, there you go. So if you click this button right away, you would actually join the Discord server. so we can start, sharing the memes and the dad jokes and mom jokes too. I don't know. All right, thanks so much everyone for that. Let me quickly, because we don't have quite a lot of time, I'll quickly just share the slides for today, and then we can go. If you see errors in these slides, that's all right. You can come give me feedback later. It was literally put together in last minute. So, but what we're going to be talking about today is CTF101 workshop. So this is going to be one of 3 different workshops that we're going to be doing. So today is going to be focused quite heavily on the basics of what CTF is. So if you've played a CTF here before, show of hands, who is a dedicated CTF player? Cool. So this is going to bore you out. Hopefully you can learn something, but it's designed for those who have never played CTF before, so we can prepare them for the CTF day that is coming on the 13th and the 14th. And there's going to be an international level certification. So far, we've got CompTIA partnering with us to sponsor us, so we're going to have CompTIA certifications. We also have Security Blue Team as well. CIDAM, give it up for CIDAM. Ben, I'm just locking in that check. All right, cool. All right, let's go. So the agenda for today is basically talking about what CTF is, what types of CTF there are, why you should even consider what a CTF is. Like, typically when people hear the words capture the flag, when you hear that word, what comes to your mind? Is it chase and touch or whatever the word is? Like, is it a tag team game? Is that what capture the flag is? Like you would play in those, what is it? Is Mr. Ninja Warrior? I have no idea what I'm talking about. Common CTF categories, tools you would use. So if you wanted to play in the CTF, and then some key mindsets that I'm going to talk about at the end of it. And if we do have some time, we'll just play a little bit with some workshop, which I haven't completed yet. So we might actually just move that to next month so I can show you a few different ways to approach playing CTF. So you guys already know who I am. But how cool is that smile, though?
This was before the third one came around.
And then the startup. So you can see the dad guts was not there then. So, anyways, I need to go back to the gym. Well, what are CTFs, or what is a CTF? So it literally stands for capture the flag. It's essentially a cybersecurity gamified competition style, game where players essentially, are pitched to solve a challenge. So there's a problem statement, just like I was saying before, and then often you'll be asked to solve that challenge. And then when you do succeed in solving the challenge, there is often a flag that tells you, hey, you've succeeded in finding out the challenge. So the challenge is often dealing with a potential vulnerability in the system, or a weakness in the system, or just pure misconfiguration, right? Like someone could quite literally and this is one of the things I see, which I'm going to talk about, is some people overthink it sometimes. It's like, when you hear of CTF, you think, oh, I need to know how to write code in Python, I need to know Bash, I need to know all of this. But a lot of the times, it's quite simple. You literally just try admin, and then you've got a flag. So do not underestimate the simple stuff, right? So what is the purpose of it? It is to learn, practice, and build relevant real-world skills in cybersecurity. So one of the things that you would find for those who are probably studying cybersecurity here or about to graduate, learning cybersecurity at uni, I love uni, but sometimes it does not have real-world application. And this is why, and I'm saying this not actually to bash universities. CyberLynk is actually we're reaching out to universities to partner with them to deliver, real-world training, so that when people are graduating from universities, they can essentially get real-world training that is based on, things like CTF. So it is for you to gain real-world experience by giving you a problem and then showing you how to solve it. Guys, if I'm talking too fast, let me know and I can sort of calm down. So what are the different types of CTF that you see typically? So there are 3 main types of CTFs. There is a 4th one, but it's technically not a 4th one. It falls within the same 3rd one. So you would see Jeopardy CTFs, you would find hybrid CTFs, and then you have attack and defense CTF, or some people call it King of the Hill. That is what COF stands for. So let's take each one of these and sort of discuss it a little bit. So Jeopardy CTF are usually standalone challenges, so they don't have any connection to something else. Now, not always. Like, you've got some really clever CTF builders who can literally just, stitch things together. You find, one piece of the puzzle in one challenge and another piece of the puzzle in another challenge. That is quite, that often happens, especially for more advanced, more difficult CTF challenges. But typically what you would find in Jeopardy CTF is that, it's standalone, it's designed to teach you something about a specific category or a specific area in cybersecurity. So that whether that be forensic, which we're going to talk about, or whether that be malware, dealing with malware, reverse engineering, binary exploitation, web exploitation. So it's often teaching you about a specific subset of cybersecurity, and it ranges from easy, medium, and hard. So that's often what you would find. I have seen CTFs that are extreme in some cases where literally you could spend 2 weeks trying to solve it. You're basically trying to write a full source code from scratch just to solve it. So there are some people that are really good at doing that. I feel like this guy is one of those guys. Look at him, he's so serious, typing away. It's like the CTF Godfather. Dude, I hear ya. All right, the next one is essentially attack and defense. So typically attack and defense CTFs are designed to give you more of a real-world scenario of what you would find in a cybersecurity environment. So it's essentially where the blue teamers and the red teamers are working together. Usually in a team, you actually have a mixture of both. So it doesn't get divided, although it can. You don't have a separate team that is doing red teaming and then another team that is doing blue teaming. Often what you would find, because that's a logistic nightmare. Trust me, guys, I'm putting one on and I know how hard it is. Usually what you would have is that in a group of 5, you would often be recommended to have one guy who's like 1 or 2 guys who are good at defense, and then three or so guys who are good at attack. So the whole idea of an attack and defend CTF is essentially you go into an environment, they tell you about a vulnerability, and you go in there, attack the vulnerability, and then try to fix the vulnerability. So that's essentially what it's designed to do. So, and this is such a really good skill to have in general in cybersecurity, because typically people fall into 2 different sides of the fence, whether they're doing defense or they're doing offense. But my personal career has been purple teaming, which is essentially doing both attack and defense, and that's what BlueCon is all about. So a lot of our CTFs will probably be sitting around here, hybrid, where we're basically doing both. So there's going to be some Jeopardy CTF during our CTF that is coming up in November, and there's also going to be some attack and defend, very minimal attack and defend based CTFs as well that you guys can can be part of. On the 3rd day is going to be an all-day workshop, like I said, so you're going to be learning a lot. We've actually partnered with DEFCON to give you guys workshops, so it's going to be pretty epic. Hope you guys are excited. I am excited. So why CTFs in the first place? Like again, I've talked about what are the benefits of it, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But it kind of one of the things it gives you is that it gives you a secure or safe environment or simulated environment for you to do some of the nefarious, dodgy business that you would typically be doing in client environment. So it gives you that environment for you to be able to do some of the work that you're doing without anyone telling you that you've broken the law. So like things like some CTFs still have some rules around essentially trying to brute force the Docker image so you don't kill it and ruin the game for everyone else. So you still need to be very careful when you're playing a CTF and make sure you read the rules of the game. But typically it provides you with an opportunity to learn cybersecurity, technical hands-on cybersecurity knowledge within a simulated and virtual environment. Often always virtual. So it also improves on your problem-solving and critical thinking skills, right? And one of the biggest benefits I think CTF provides is learning how to work in a team environment. And this is so huge. Like you guys, seriously, I cannot tell you how important it is to learn how to work in a team environment if you're going to be getting a job in cybersecurity. And I'm sure those who are already in cyber probably agree with me on this. Is learning how to work with people, especially it's even more important now that people are working remotely. So typically when you would have a bond with your coworker back in the days, now all you get is a 14-inch version of them every single day. So learning how to not only read their communication style, their personality, their social cue, be more emotionally intelligent, all of these things I think you would learn in a team environment within a CTF setting. So that's typically what you would see. Obviously, it's a great place to meet people, like being here at BlueCon or Hack for Good meetup. We're still trying to work out with that name. You get to meet some really cool people, and this is why we've actually set our event this way. So it's not a captive audience. It's designed for you guys to actually get to interact with people that are sitting within the same table. Hopefully you know them on a first-name basis by now, right? Uh-oh. Okay. It means we've got work to do. We might actually have to chain people together. It's like, you're not living here today until you learn each other's name. But quickly, so what are the typical, I guess, categories you will see in a CTF? You have web exploitation, reverse engineering, forensic and memory analysis, cryptography. So this is essentially where you're often working with private or public key cryptography, trying to break it. Polymorphic cryptography, reverse cipher, a whole bunch of different cryptographic algorithms that you're trying to break to be able to find the flag. And also, the other thing you would find is binary exploitation as well. So this is essentially where you have a piece of software or an application, and you're really often trying to sort of figure out a way to get around it. It's often always about a buffer overflow or a stack overflow. So essentially where you kind of, fill the for those who are not in cybersecurity here, imagine if there's a bucket and you fill the bucket to the brim until it begins to spill over. Right, that's essentially what a buffer overflow, a stack overflow is. So that's often what binary exploitations are usually about. One of my favorite is OSINT, open source intelligence, type category, CTFs. So these ones are really designed around you learning how to do research online. So like I could literally, there's this game that came out in COVID where people would literally just get a picture, in the middle of nowhere, randomly on Google Map. Yeah, GeoGuessr. And literally, I saw people online just like going crazy about it. It's like people literally made it a job or something. I was like, what? You've got so much time on your hands, apparently. But if you took a photo in somewhere in Ghana or in Papua New Guinea, someone would literally spend hours trying to find the coordinates of that. That's essentially what open source intelligence is. So the reason it says open source is it means that data is already available out there on the open. And guys, do not underestimate how much information you can dig out by just doing Google. Right, like a hacker. So this is where you're using things like Google Docking, Sensors.io, Shodan. You're going into forums. You're going into different, I guess, communities like Discord and trying to find information. Looking for where there might be a password or username dump. Looking for people's social media pages or their social media account. Taking images and then downloading the image and doing some additional forensic information. I guess. Reverse engineering on that image. Would you call steg? Oh, I forgot to ask steganography. So steganography is essentially, it'll probably fall under cryptography. Who would agree with me? Yeah, it could be its own potential category, but basically what that is, it's essentially security by obfuscation. So where you're trying to hide information in plain sight without someone seeing it. So typically what you would have is people hide information in images or videos, and then use that to transmit, secrets. And this was one of the things that people did in what is it called, in World War II or whatever it is. Like you literally would just send someone a nice flower that is chopped up a tiny bit in the bottom or something that conveys some information. So basically what you're trying to do here, it's not cryptography. I want to be very clear. It's more security by obfuscation. Obfuscation, that's a big word. You're trying to make sure that the person, or you're actually assuming or hoping that the person who's going to handle that information does not notice that there's hidden information inside of it. So you typically find this in images. So I'm going to show you guys an example of that when we have time next time. So what are the common tools you would use for a CTF? What's going on? What are the common tools you would use for a CTF? So if you're doing forensic type CTF, you're likely to use Wireshark, WAP Analyzer. So WAP Analyzer is a really cool tool. It's actually quite useful, not just for web-based CTFs, but it's really good in general for detecting what application you're running in a web app, and which could include the backend server as well. That's the point I'm trying to make. So if you've got a website, like an example is if I run WAP Analyzer on the Hack for Good website, that would essentially tell you what information or what technology or tool we are using on the back end. Now, if you try to hack us, you won't find anything useful in there. And then obviously Python, IDE. So IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So this is essentially like a text editor, something that will allow you to be able to review code or information, to be able to see if there's anything useful in there. So my all-time favorite VS Code, and I don't even know if I spelled that right. Is the V supposed to be capital letter or not? Whatever. Sublime Text. So those two are really one of my favorite. Who are the OG Linux people who prefer things like Vim? Show your hands if you're one of those grandpas. Nano is pretty good. I would give you that. I'll give you Nano. That's good. Is it like a remote code execution vulnerability on it or what? Is it like a vulnerability on Vim that I'm not aware of? Oh, well, okay, fair enough. Well, I got out of it years ago after I literally wasted so much time trying to do queue, column, exit, and then each time I'll exit without saving the data. Anyways, don't get me started. And then OLEDB. So OLEDB is really good for essentially binary exploitation. Reverse engineering, where you're basically opening the code, the source code, or the application to see if there's any known logic issue or vulnerability in there. And then obviously you need Kali Linux, of course. That's like the OG hacker operating system. But the thing though is that you don't need Kali Linux to be able to do this. You just need an operating system. You could do this quite easily with a Raspberry Pi. You could also do it quite easily with something like an Ubuntu, a client, and just install the application that you need. The only benefit that Kali Linux actually comes with is that often it comes pre-installed with a lot of the tools that I just talked about here. So like typically you would have Python already installed. You would have things like an IDE, which is Nano. You would have to install Sublime if you wanted it. A lot of the other things that you do have to install manually yourself. Although I know that Kali Pep ships with Wireshark by default. Yeah, so that's basically one of the benefits of using this sort of tool. So without going into too much detail, we were going to actually, play an actual one, but I'm looking at the time and I'm like, we don't have a lot of time. So what I would do is the 102, actually, none of this fluffy thing will be talked about anymore. We'll actually focus on solving challenges, some basic one just to get everyone started. The key thing it's closed. Don't worry about it. I haven't opened it to the public because some of the files still need a bit of work there. But one of the things I'll probably say is that a lot of the times, like, what you're trying to really do is just start somewhere. And I've seen people fall into this trap with CTF is that if you want to play CTF, you feel like, I want to do everything all at once. My recommendation is just pick one topic you want to learn. Like, an example is if you want to learn about threat intelligence, just pick OSINT and then just do only OSINT. Now, the reason this is so cool is that some of the teams that win big CTFs, like things like Pico CTF, which is a well-known one, the Google annual CTF that people win upwards of $300,000 or so. I think it's $250,000. So guys, there's good money in this. So right, it's all about hacking for good. So basically, what I'm recommending is that you start with OSINT, and this allows you to sort of use the same tools you already have at your disposal and learn some new ways of using those tools. An example is if you're already using Google, there are some cool ways you can use Google further. Another way you can use other tools that you have is, who here has used Perplexity? So Perplexity is a really good tool for OSINT because it gives you references, right? It's not just trying to give you the answer only, it's giving you links. So now you can then go and dig further into the tool. So like if you want to start, for someone who's a beginner, start with that. And then I often recommend the next thing you do is steganography, right? Because like it's just tools that you're using. So the idea of this is that as you learn more and more of these different categories, you're better overall. Do not start with something like reverse engineering or cryptography. You are going to, quit playing CTF very, very quickly. And the thing that is supposed to be fun becomes really annoying to you. You feel like you've burnt yourself out. So start small, start with the easy stuff. And the reason this is actually cool is that you think that by doing something easy like OSINT makes you weak, makes you a weak CTF player. It doesn't. So typically for the Hack for Good CTF that we're having in November, if you're really good at OSINT and there's a team that is forming and they have one guy who's really good at red teaming or whatnot, it might be good at OSINT, but just by having someone who's good at OSINT in the team, it means that they can go and focus on the thing that he's good at doing as well. So essentially division of labor. So just stick to one thing, learn it properly before you move on to the other thing. So some key external resources is obviously CryptoHack. I highly recommend CryptoHack if you want to learn cryptographic CTFs. They're really, really nice. We do, play some of those during the Nerd Night streams that we run every single Saturday night, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more. Capture the Flag, CTF101, that's another link there. I'm going to provide this link on YouTube. Down under CTF, this is basically a GitHub repository with some of the previous CTF challenges that they've run in the past. Some of them don't work anymore because of dependency issues with Docker, or maybe the application is been patched or something like that. But typically you can find some old vulnerabilities in there of old CTF challenges, and if you know how to fix things, you can probably fix it, get it to work again. And then obviously good old YouTube. There's some really good talk that this guy did. I think he's the founder of one of the CTF platforms like CTFD. I've forgotten what they're actually called. So that's the link there, and that's a good way to sort of learn. Guys, how late am I? Jeez. All right. Does anyone have any questions? I'll probably take 3 questions. Was that easy? Am I this good, guys? There you go. Does anyone have any questions? I'll probably take 3 questions. Well, did you? I don't want to bash Aza. We will be there, and we're doing something pretty cool. So if you see me there, I'm going to be hovering around. We don't have money to purchase the full-on booth, but I'll be hanging around. If you see me, I've got a surprise for you that we're putting together. I'll also be at my team and I will be at B-Side Canberra. So come say hi. We're actually going to be we're going to be streaming Insight from an X. Who here has been to Nerd Night before? Cool. Guys, the rest of you guys, what are you doing? We actually do the same thing we do at BlueCon every single month. We do that every single Saturday, online on YouTube, live stream. And we invite a guest to come speak or tell us about what a particular area in cybersecurity. So last week we had someone who transitioned from being a sommelier. How do you pronounce that? Sommelier, a wine taster. A previous wine taster who transitioned from that to cybersecurity, and he talks about his experience, and now he's a content developer on CyberLynk platform. So the previous night we had the guy who did threat hunting here the previous month, Jamie. We actually got to hear a bit more about Jamie's life story and whatnot. So guys, definitely if you haven't subscribed to the CyberLynk YouTube channel, go and subscribe. We have these streams happening every single Saturday night. At 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 hour UTC. So if you're just figuring out, I've had a really long week, do I want to have a really nice laugh? There is always something to laugh about because who knows, I may or may not be rapping. Whoever has been wondering what is going on with this whole rap thing, well, I have rapped on occasions before. When everything is not working, I'm like, we need to put on a good show. Let's do a rap. And by the way, I don't have to, let you come watch it. It's awful. I'm not a good rapper. That's literally, I don't know why. I'm not a good soccer player. The only thing I know how to do is cybersecurity. No, I'm just joking. Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions? Yeah. Yeah, so the first day is going to be there's going to be a lot more information that is coming out over the next few weeks. The first day of Hack for Good, which is on the 13th of November, that's a national level CTF. So people here in Australia would compete with those in Australia. So universities, Deakin, so if you're from a university here, we are probably already partnering with your university clubs, but feel free to obviously form a team here as well, so you don't have to wait until your university forms one. So you can partner with people. So there's going to be exactly the same thing happening in Nigeria and exactly the same thing happening in Ghana. And then those who win on that first day, that national level CTF, will then fight it out to the death on the second day. Right, well, I don't know if that's a good thing to say, but essentially imagine cyber, war, basically just fighting and trying to see who's the ultimate hacker. If it's going to be Australia, go Aussie. Aussie. There you go. That's more like it. I have no idea what you say if you're a Nigerian or Ghanaian. Well, you guys, if you're watching me, I have disappointed you. I'm sorry. But so we're going to be competing across those nations, and then the winner would then take the ultimate prize. The third day is an all-day workshop, only physically here in Melbourne. We haven't quite gotten the sponsorship for all the other locations, but we're looking to do that next year by having in-person locations across the other regions. So we would also have the ability for you to donate to Hack for Good CTF, the Hack for Good non-for-profit. If you do want to do that, we would really appreciate it. And if you do want to volunteer or you want to help out with any of the things that we're doing, so there are a few areas that we are looking for volunteers in, including on the day, on the location. So we're going to need some volunteers. By the way, volunteering is a great way to sort of gain real life experience. I'm not saying it because we need one. I'm saying it because I know the wonders that it's worked for me, specifically in my career. It's putting your hand up. You learn so much, right? And I find a lot of the times people that I was going to say young people. I don't know what I'll classify myself as. All right. Sometimes people are so selfish and they forget that you actually gain a lot by giving something. So by volunteering your time, even if it's a part-time job or saying, hey, I'm happy to just do this for free, strategically, you could gain a lot experience. And we're also going to be giving out certificates for those who volunteer on the day. So you've got a certificate that you can then showcase to the public or to a potential employer. So if you want to volunteer, please come and say hi to Daphne. She's going to figure out a way for us to get your details. But there's going to be an official communication that is going to go out as well. Does anyone have any other thing? Any question? I think there's one last question left. So if you want to volunteer, please come and say hi to Daphne. She's going to figure out a way for us to get your details. But there's going to be an official communication that is going to go out as well. Does anyone have any other thing? So Alex's question is, why is there so much to learn?
University student, for example, and you're just starting to understand and wrap your hand, and then you have basically things that people take years for them to build all those skills and experiences, everything. So
Alex's question is, why is there so much to learn?
Specialist to actually get into it and actually solve it and everything. So
Yeah, and this is why, without being a sales head here, this is what we the key problem that we solve at CyberLynk is that we take away all of that hassle, and by having an actual cybersecurity coach sort of work with you, they can identify areas where you need to grow. Like we've had situations where someone is trying to learn, trying to do a certification, and we go, no, go back and learn basics of Linux or basics of Windows, right? Because if you miss out on those foundational knowledge, it's always going to haunt you in your career. So without having to be the sales guy, if you're here and you're struggling to get into cybersecurity, or you're struggling to find structure in your study, definitely come have a chat with me. We've got our work integrated learning or technical learning internship that is designed for that. We are also going to be opening our platform up quite soon to a monthly subscription, so you don't have to have like $500 or $600 to be able to buy a course. So for just $14.99. You can get access to our whole platform, including labs and whatnot, and that is significantly cheaper than all the other platforms that are out there. And that's obviously because we are an impact organization. You guys can obviously see why we're doing what we're doing. If you do want to land a job in cybersecurity or you've been struggling for a while, come have a chat with me. One of the biggest myths that I'll bust, and then I'll stop talking, is that some people tell you that you're going to land a job in cybersecurity in 4 months or 6 months or whatever it is. Now, for some people, that can be done if you've already done the hard yard for years. But typically, sometimes, on average, what we're seeing is that it takes a graduate an additional 1 year to 1.5 years to land a job in cybersecurity, right? And that's if they're persistently actually doing the work. And what we're saying is people are atrophying away from cybersecurity when they finish a degree and they try to get a job, and they're not able to do it because they don't have the hands-on skill. And that's exactly precisely the problem that we solve at cylynk.com, CYLYNK. I'm not going to talk about CyberLynk only. If you work here in a cybersecurity organization and you guys are looking for a cybersecurity incident management tool or a case management tool, definitely hit CyDam up. They're here. Ben is obviously there to have a chat with you, and they're more than happy to to have a chat with you guys and set something up. Like, guys, it's not an ITSM platform. It's a full-fledged cybersecurity OG case management and incident management tool. Yep. All right, guys. I've been signaled that we should get out of here. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming. I really appreciate it, and enjoy. And for those online, it's been pretty awesome. I'm going to be interviewing a few people, obviously, quite quickly. So if you want to be on camera, come say hi to me. All right, guys. I've been signaled that we should get out of here. Thanks so much, everyone.
You had to close this to me, mate, so I apologize.
What is going on? All right, there we go. Can you see us? All right, cool. Tell me your name.
Salvador.
And how was BlueCon or Hack for Good 0x?
This one, amazing.
This one? What did you learn? Do you reckon you learned something? I don't want to put you on the spotlight.
Yeah, no, it's great. Talking about CTFs.
Yeah.
Again, the explanation, a quick, clear explanation of what a CTF is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very good. The chat from before was very informational.
Yeah,
A
pretty
bit
packed.
a bit over my head.
Yeah.
But it's just great to see there's like different levels to it, and something that you can aim for as well.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
Yeah, that's good. Awesome. Thanks so much, Mr. Salvador. Enjoy. See ya. Oh, well. I need to stop sharing this. And actually, so now we should. Yeah. So it's already showing. It's already showing. All right. Does anyone want to be featured in the interview? I'll drag you in. Sorry, you ran away. All right, Alex, you come in. Tell us your name and what you learned today.
My name is Alex, and I learned today that I want to be part of CTF at all. That's number one. Number two, learned more about pen testing, about all the things that are required, not just sitting at the terminal typing out commands. There's a lot of other things, a lot of other situations, understanding the businesses, understanding the scopes, understanding basically. It should be about context and about everything. So it was pretty interesting as well, and pretty overwhelming. I could say I'm not alone in that. There's a lot of other people. So, but it was good.
Daphne, there's a QR code at the end of that workshop slide.
Yeah, I've got it.
Right. Okay. People can just take a photo. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, just grab the information. Yeah. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. We're probably going to hang off this. They're kicking us out of here. Thanks so much, Alex.
No worries.
And then for those online, it's been absolutely amazing, having you guys join us today. Don't worry, very soon we're going to have a Hack for Good in-person event very soon as well at your location. With that, thank you. It's been an awesome one.